Welcome, everyone. Okay. Welcome, everyone, to the April Executive Committee meeting of Community Board 8. We'll start with the approval of the Executive Committee minutes of March 2nd. Everybody has received the minutes. Any discussion? A motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Move.
Second, anyone? Second,
second,
anyone
Laura.
on the minutes?
I second, Laura.
Thank you. Okay, so the minutes are unanimously approved. I'll give a brief chairperson's report. I would just like to say that, as you know, Paul Ellis and Diamaris Escania and Courtney Dastis Galvin have not reapplied to the board. They wrote wonderful letters and called me, and they all had their circumstances, and we're going to miss them. So I wanted to just say that. Kira and Ramdot and myself, we had a wonderful meeting with the new Parks Commissioner, Sue Donahue. We got to hear her talk and hear of her plans. And we also honored Iris Rodriguez for her service at a lovely luncheon at the Bronx Zoo. So that was very nice. And speaking of parks, the good news is that the Philharmonic is coming back to Van Cortlandt Park. The bad news is they always take our regular meeting date, the second Tuesday of the month. So I'm throwing out this date to everybody. Wednesday, June 29th is an open date. It has the advantage of being after all the committees because it's a fifth week. And so all resolutions will be able to be disposed of, voted on. So mark your calendars, please, June 29th. I'm going to start announcing it every chance I get so that people know, because change is hard. Councilman Dinowitz organized the Johnson Avenue tour with the DOT Commissioner, Idanis Rodriguez, and reps from the Department of Community Consumer Affairs and other representatives, and Chuck and Nick and myself attended. My takeaway is that everything is still just vague and not written and not ready to be reported to us. There were no nuts and bolts given to us on the program, on the Open Restaurants, Open Street program. We asked questions regarding enforcement, interagency, role of the community board, the hearing. At the hearings, they said they were going to have education and coordination between DOT, DSNY, the police department, etc. They haven't done any of that. And so their stock answer was, we're working on it. We pointed out the traffic. Some of the sheds on Johnson Avenue, went way beyond where they should be. There was almost blocked traffic because there was a truck and a delivery. So they saw all those issues. As Rosemary pointed out, there is a lawsuit. A community group sued because they felt that there was a neg deck and environmental assessment done instead of an environmental EIS. What does that stand for? Environmental
Impact.
impact.
Statement.
I'm having a senior moment. I know this. Thank you. Environmental impact. And the judge agreed. And so we'll see what happens with that. And they were saying, they pointed to environmental things and noise and neighborhood and sanitation and those kind of issues. So we'll follow that. I'm sure the lawyers in the group will follow that case. Let's see, reminder, in April, coming up next week, we're going to hold our election for the nominating committee. April 15th, tax day, is when the governor should be announcing whether we're going to be able to continue on Zoom or not. And of course, this is very nerve-wracking because twice now we have made accommodations and then we canceled those accommodations. And it's very disappointing that she only gave us 1 month. So we have to just go with the flow on that. We're going to use our conference room. In the past, they had said we had to have 6 feet apart, which kind of blew out our conference room, but I haven't heard that kind of guidance. So that's what we're going to do. And it'll be an issue with big committees. We will have to find an appropriate space, but we'll just roll with it. Let's see. I'm brief because at the end of tonight's committee meeting, I'd like to go into executive session in accordance with Section 105 of the Open Meetings Law regarding a topic relating to real property. So I want to leave time for that. That's about it for my report. Are there any questions?
Yes,
Laura, have you decided yet which committee or committees will be the lead on the open restaurants?
Well, traditionally, it's been TNT. I believe that they've done the consumer affairs on the sidewalk cafes. Economic development would also want to be involved. As you know, DOT has gone to economic development to get feedback from the merchants and whatnot. But, traditionally it's TNT committee. But again, we don't have any framework. We don't know what's involved or how the role of community boards will work out. And, so again, we'll have to just see how this develops. Okay.
Being ahead of it is certainly better than having to catch up.
Well, they have to release what the framework is. And we see what the role of the board is. Every board that we've spoken to is going through the same thing, waiting for the new legislation. But like I said, traditionally, it's gone to TNT. I mean, it went to land use because it was a zoning text change initially. If land use wants it, which I doubt, but so it'll continue to be discussed, Marty.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So that's the chair's report.
there are a number of
There are
hands
some
up.
hands up.
Oh, all right, Rosemary.
Okay, thank you. Just to go back to the open dining thing. There were 2 pieces that went to the city council. One was zoning and one was a piece of legislation. So when the court threw it all out for lack of doing an environmental impact statement, they threw both of them out. So how they come out of this mess, I don't know, but it seems since both were thrown out, we're going to be handed both back, both zoning text and legislation dealing with the governance of how they're going to do it. So if this is going to TNT, that's great, then that's where the comments will go. But the throwing this all out throws both of them out. And it was the judge was scathing against DOT, scathing. In the decision, it talks about DOT did an EAS, and it was date and a negative declaration. I would request that the office get a copy of that EAS. Okay, I would like to get a copy of that EAS to see once again, what did they do? The court clearly said it is not sufficient. There was no basis whatsoever to do a negative declaration. But having said that, there is something on a piece of paper that I think would help us in going forward. Thank you. Is that okay? That the
Yeah,
office-
no, thank you, Rosemary. I definitely agree with you. And I think that the zoning text change, city planning back at the time said that this has to be in concert with real legislation or it's moot. So if that's the case, if it involves language and zoning and everything else, I guess it's going to go back to land use initially, I would imagine. So thank you for that report. And I am leaving it to the lawyers to follow this case. And we'll try to get that EAS.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. I see David and Dan and Bob Fanuzzi.
Yeah, quick question about meeting space. I've already forgotten the name of that agency immediately above our office. Is that accessible to us?
I wish we have gotten it in writing from them that they are no longer accessible to us.
Okay.
They no
thank
longer
you.
operate at night. They no longer have staff there to let us in. we asked several times and they got tired of us asking, and we got a very firm email.
Okay, all right, bummer, but thank you.
Dan,
Hi, Laura. How are you?
good.
I wanted to thank you for getting out. I saw that on page 2 of the board agenda was the notice of the nominating committee with several dates. So thank you
Yes.
for putting that notice out. I would just ask if you can, just because I didn't notice it and I don't know if other members had the same problem, if that notice can just be sent out individually, as a separate notice of the nominating committee,
Okay,
meaning not as page 2, just so that way folks don't miss it like
right. Well, on
guys
the
did
first
originally.
page, we had see page 2 and, but
Understood.
good idea.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Bob Fanuzzi.
Yeah, Rosemary, thank you for elaborating. I would love to see the judge's decision. Did that come up at LRE? Would I be able to find the case
Oh,
referenced in LRE, or is this?
Nick Fazio found the lawsuit and
Okay.
sent it to me, and I'll be happy to send it to you.
Oh, I really want to take a look. Thanks, Nick, and thanks, Rosemary, for elaborating. And my question was about getting EIS. I want to see what was the basis of judgment. This is
Mhm.
really important, really important. Thank you.
Okay, let me just make a note.
Thanks.
Could you
And
please
thank you.
Does
Okay,
anybody
Rosemary.
else want the lawsuit? Should I send it to everybody?
Yeah, why not?
I'd like it, yes.
Yes,
Yes,
please.
send-
Really,
send-
really important.
mhm.
Karen,
Okay,
I'm also taking notes.
I don't see other hands. That's my report. Treasurer's report will come in at the full board, district manager's report at the full board, committee resolutions. Why don't we start with?
Laura.
Yeah.
There's a key topic. Yeah, I understand that Kira's not here, but at our last exec meeting, you said you were going to have a report, or is that what the executive session is going to be about later?
You're talking about the new office?
Yes.
Yes, that's exactly what it's about.
Okay, I'll take that back then. Okay, thank you.
No, don't. Okay, so resolutions, where should we start? Should we go from hard to easy or easy to hard?
You're the chair.
Tanya, why don't
Knock
we
off the
start?
easy.
Wait, I'm sorry, what did you say, David?
Knock off the easy.
We'll go to public safety.
I'm easy, I guess.
Yes,
All right, I don't know about that, but, all right, so we
Oh,
have
just a-
three,
I'm sorry.
resolutions. One of them is a renewal for full liquor license for Blackstone Bar and Grill located at 3713 Riverdale Avenue. The committee unanimously approved the application. 50th precinct were unaware of any prior disturbances. We had a new application and
Can we
temporary.
see these, on the screen? or
Yes, give me
no?
1 second. I'm sorry. I'm having
Okay.
a little technical difficulty here.
I'll
okay,
wait.
we'll hold on.
Pardon me.
Rob, did we take attendance?
No.
Okay,
Stuck at 11. We can do it.
I'm
Sylvia
afraid we'll
Alexander.
forget.
Yeah,
While she's
still where we
fixing
are.
out,
Plus,
that'll just take a minute.
Okay, Sylvia Alexander,
Present.
Bob Bender,
Here.
Rosemary Ginty,
Here,
Rob Jagoski, Ed Green,
Here,
Where?
Bob Fanuzzi.
Sorry,
I know.
I am here.
Yeah, David Gelman,
present.
Ram Dot Singh, not yet.
He'll be
Ted-
late.
Ted Morris, Chuck Merdler, Omar Murray, Dan Paternak,
I'm sorry, here.
Laura Spalter here,
Here,
Nick Fazio,
here.
Marty Walpoff,
I'm here.
Julia Gomez, Deb Travis, Sergio Villaverde. Okay,
okay, good. Got that out of the way. Now we have the resolutions up.
Okay, so we're back.
Yes, we're back.
All right,
Yes,
so
we're back.
I just have to laugh because I'm looking at the resolutions on the screen and it has incorrect spelling, which is actually correct because my iPad has it set to French and I can't get it off.
Well, ask Marty.
I was
He'll tell you
wondering
how to
why
fix
they,
it.
why,
Yeah, so I felt the need, because I knew somebody was gonna hit me with that question. So if you see misspelled words, they're not misspelled. My computer just only wants to spell it and have French.
très elegant.
So, okay, so 3 resolutions, once again, renewal for full liquor license for Blackstone Bar and Grill at 3713 Riverdale Avenue. No issues there from the 50th precinct. The committee unanimously approved. Our second one is a new application and temporary retail permit. I don't know if you want to just scroll up. Okay, there you go. New application temporary retail permit for full liquor license for 220 Osteria LLC, which does not have a trade name yet. So they're going under their LLC name. They're located at 220 West 242nd Street. The 50th precinct stated that there were prior disturbances at this location connected to a previous business, but they're unaware of any connection between the previous business and the current applicant. So the committee unanimously approved that application. And the third one, if you want to scroll down, it was a little, my resolution might be a bit wordy here, but I just felt the need to kind of spell it out thoroughly to avoid a lot of questions. And what it basically, well, I'll just read it. Whereas this is a letter requested for a method of operation change, and the method of operation change was recorded karaoke and live music. So whereas representatives of Caribbean Bites and Bar and Restaurant located at 5586 Broadway received notice from the State Liquor Authority that their application needed to be amended in order to operate in accordance with SLA guidelines. And they obtained a letter from Bronx Community Board 8 stating the board approves of the establishment's decision to play recorded karaoke and live music. Way too wordy. Basically, what that translates to is they forgot to check a box on their application, and SLA demanded, well, requested a letter from us in order to let them operate the way they want. So, okay, so representatives of Caribbean Bites Bar and Restaurant appeared before Public Safety Committee on March 15th, and requested Bronx Community Board 8 to send a letter to the State Liquor Authority indicating the board approves of their establishment playing recorded karaoke and live music. The 50th precinct stated they were unaware of any issues from that disturbances, complaints about the establishment. The owners also, we know the owners from, we have they've come to our meeting previously, and we know them from, they own and operate El Economico Restaurant, which is located at 5589 Broadway. They've been outstanding. The food is terrific. They've been great. Never any complaints about them. So we felt that should be included in this too. Well, I felt that anyway. But so the Public Safety Committee unanimously approved the request of this establishment for a letter to be sent by the board to the State Liquor Authority stating the board approves of their establishment playing recorded karaoke and live music, and the committee approved of this unanimously. I have to say, I felt, and I still feel, this was kind of a strange request by SLA, because we've never had anything like this, and they've had, they basically just made a mistake on the application, but this is what they're asking for, and we have no issues with the owners, so we approved of this. And that's what we got.
Thank you, Ed. Any questions or comments for Ed? Okay, I don't see any hands. Why don't we then go to land use?
Is
did
there a
Chuck-
land use?
Uh,
Tanya,
oh,
I
I-
thought you were gonna give me a call about it so we could work out the details.
Well, I wasn't doing that, Chuck, but I didn't see this until right now. I'll give you the background to it, and we can all read it together quietly or
May I
whatever.
just say, first
Laura,
that
Yes.
Tanya sent it to Chuck for his approval. We only saw it late today.
Okay.
And basically,
The way we
basi-
left the meeting on Monday was that Tanya and I were gonna work out the language on Tuesday. And I never
Well-
heard from her.
Well, why don't we look at what's here?
At any rate, there is a resolution. I
There is a
will,
resolution.
Who
I
wrote
will give you some background to it. We had them, they were with us last month making the same presentation. We sent them back and asked them to make changes, which I will explain. They didn't, so we got back what we had last month. Basically, the city has asked whatever group this is from the New York City Police Department down at Central to work with a consultant and architect to look at, I use the words they used, existing conditions to enable the building to be more handicapped accessible. Now, we on the committee and the board thought existing conditions would mean the front of the building as well as the back of the building. Apparently, and I'm sure nobody knows here, because we never knew, that there's an entrance to the back and there are other agencies that have space within the building. And when they come to the building, they go through the back. And this proposal for make it handicapped accessible is to enable them to get in. They would press a buzzer, there'd be a ramp of some sort. There were questions over the grading, whether or not canes or wheelchairs, walkers would have difficulty with it. They say no, everything is ADA compliant. And so again, they came back just with the back. We felt very strongly that this building is not handicapped accessible for the community seeking to come into the sergeant's desk, whatever, make reports, whatever, because once you enter the building, there's a staircase. These architects allege that existing conditions for them only meant the exterior. And since the interior is not handicapped accessible, it wasn't within the framework of their RFP. And so we are somewhat distressed by this. They claim that they are going to put up signs in front, which they have not yet, that if you came into the police precinct to enter, nobody knows that if they went around to the back, they'd be able to go through a ramp, buzz themselves and get themselves in. A police officer will come to let them in. So that's the purpose. As I say, I have not read this. So
All right,
let's see.
let's go to the top, Tanya. Okay.
Well, it's also
Go ahead.
resolved.
Mhm.
Okay, the Land Use Committee, PD Board 8, Bronx County makes the following findings and recommendations. The proposed ADA accessible side door entrance, actually it's the rear door entrance, the 50th
That's
precinct
right.
is approved, it has to be changed, was approved subject to the erection of legible ADA compliant signage in front of the building, stating clearly and in bold lettering where the side entrance, again, back entrance
Rear
is,
entrance. And in the following line is the following two lines. Well, I'm
Oh.
sorry, twice in the following line.
and how to proceed to it, and the intercom to be installed alongside so that the door will be ADA height and readily accessible and usable 24 hours a day. Just note there is a drive that goes past that door. They suggest that there's an opportunity if someone needed a lift and was able to get to the back of the building, they could stop the car someone could leave and go in, and in the car where there's a handicap parking area back there. I drove by just today, and I tell you, there's no way they can get near that because all the police cars are lined up on that lane. Since accessibility is the underlying issue being addressed, it extends as well to the issue of accessibility by public through the front door of the building, which currently has and requires people to ascend an interior staircase. Therefore, the Land Use Committee calls upon the police department and the city of New York to take such steps as may appear permissible to improve the front door access so as to allow the handicapped or otherwise disabled persons ready access through the front door of the 50th precinct. Resolve that the side rear door entrance be of a kind as will allow handicapped passengers of motor vehicles, that should be of a motor vehicle, to have access through such side rear, I don't know why Chuck is in with the side here, such rear door and to the intercom. Land Use Committee respectfully requests that the Budget Committee of Bronx Community Board 8 consider adding appropriate funding for these requests.
Okay, that's like internal. That's not really part of the resolution.
Well, there were.
Unless you say, I left it.
No,
This is a
actually,
direct
we-
transcription, so go right ahead to comment.
Asking the request for Land Use Committee or the Budget Committee, and David already pointed out, it's not the Budget Committee, it's Public Safety or whatever other committee of ours needs to make this request in next year's budget.
Right, but I don't think it's part of the resolution.
Doesn't belong here
No, we could take that out, Tanya. That was just like a reminder.
for the time being, yes.
Now, David, you, what issues were you going to talk about?
Well,
Or
no,
did you want
just
to talk about? Because I
rear
told
door-
Tanya to strictly just, send this for approval, and that's where we're at right now.
Right, and my key thing was that Chuck wanted me to talk with Tanya about clarifying side door versus rear door and changing the wording about ADA compliant signage, which is in there. So they are taken care of.
Good, so we're good.
I believe so.
In my
All right,
mind,
and the door is correct. Okay,
in my mind, this covers exactly what the conversation was and the intent of the committee. And so this will be proposed next week at the board meeting.
right. Tanya, I'll just suggest that the vote go at the bottom of the resolution rather than at the top. But you don't have to do that now. I'm just as a matter of form. Okay, thank you, Tanya, for doing that. And as I said, we just got this as well, and we're happy to have it. Okay, so the last one is
Okay,
TNT.
I'm sorry, just tangent, I'm sorry.
Oh, Rosemary, I didn't see, I
Madam
wasn't
Chair.
looking at all. Go ahead.
No, once again, I wanted, the resolution is now taken care of, but this is tangential to the resolution. It's hard for us to remember back pre-pandemic, but I think you'll remember, and a number of the members of the board will remember, our dear friend Bill Stone and Karen Pesci and some other people in the community who needed handicapped accessibility. When we are getting places for meetings, first of all, everybody needs to understand we're not allowed to hold a meeting in a building that is not handicapped accessible. But in addition, and this was the problem, many times you come up to the door, the building is handicapped accessible, but nobody knows where it is. This particular issue, interestingly enough, highlights that. Public safety meets in this building, but if somebody came to the main door, you have no idea where the handicapped accessible entrance is. That was the case in Manhattan College Engineering School, PS 81, PS 24. Kira will tell you we had to do up signs so at the main entrance to tell people where to go, where the handicapped accessibility entrance is. I only raise this now. You got 1,000 things on your notebook. Put this down as we're coming out of the pandemic. Have to be in a building that's handicapped accessible, but in addition to put that sign up at the entrance, how people get to it. Sometimes it's at the back of the building, side of the building, whatever. Make sense? Yes?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, good. Thank you.
What is fascinating to me in all of this is that the architects who kept using the term, the current conditions. Really had no idea. David joked about it, but the fact is this building was built before ADA, and the building itself does not meet ADA standards.
But worse than that is that ADA has been in place for 30 years. And, I wouldn't have expected these things to be fixed in 4 years, but I would have expected that the key entrance for the members of our community would have been modified significantly to make it easy for them, in the last 10 or 15 years. And I'm shocked to know that they have no ADA compliant signage yet. Now, we're addressing that, but it just, I love our 5.0, but it just seems like this whole effort, and particularly with the architect's response of that wasn't our job. Well, that was the excuse a month ago, but we asked them to come back to us with, having spoken to NYPD about addressing these concerns, and it was not addressed. And I think it's really tone deaf to our community.
Okay, thank you, David. Let's put the TNT up, please.
We're doing the SAPO first?
Oh, sure. This is,
Yeah, why don't we do the SAPO first?
yeah. Thank you. Makes sense.
I would note the need for a change. The Riverdale Y has not been known as the Riverdale Young Men's Hebrew Association, or YMHA, in probably 20 or 30 years.
It's technically the YMYWH.
YMYWHA.
But I don't think they've gone by anything but the Riverdale Y in 10 or 15 years.
I think it's their
So
legal
what do
name,
you,
though.
what do you
David.
propose? What's our,
Riverdale Y.
Marty,
I
is that
think-
all right?
Well, the question is what Dan pointed it out. What are they known as?
The Riverdale Y. Look at their website.
What did the
Website
application
irrelevant.
come in
What are they
as?
known to the city as?
I can't
So what
answer
did the
that
app-
question,
So
but
Laura, there
application-
should be an
The
application.
application probably said exactly this. This was why the committee came up with it.
where is that application? I have it. But why don't we?
We can
Continue,
let the office get that answer.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just continue.
I mean, otherwise it's fine.
All right.
So I've got a few questions on here,
Yes.
just some information just for the permit, like what hours it's gonna be. I don't see the hours on here.
Yeah, you know what? It was
I
on
don't
the
see some
agenda.
of the other,
Wait, it
No, I
was
understand,
on the
but-
agenda. It's seven to
Laura.
3.
understood. It might be on the agenda, but it should be in the resolution that we're putting out. so
Yeah.
that way-
No, I was just
going
trying to
out
think
to
of the
folks
answer. Like Jeopardy. All right. Whereas Rizzo presented their plan for a one-time 75 to operate, we'll add that, to operate straight from the agenda, from the hours of 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., including, I think it said, setup and breakdown.
So I think there should be, and again, we're talking about a major street here, Johnson Avenue, between 235 and 236. So, I would just also ask.
I would
that
add
we
that
put in
too,
some of the other-
definitely. Yes.
Well, where I'm going, Laura, is just some of the other pertinent information, that we've, in years past, that we put in regarding, fire lane, regarding if there's going to be music, et cetera. Just, again, to make people aware as we're approving this of what's really happening here. It's just the
I
basic
agree.
stuff that's on the application.
Yeah. So, Deb's not here tonight. I like forgot that there's no one here presenting it. I think
And-
that those friendly amendments will definitely go in a few more details. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else have any comments? Put that down. We'll check on the name on their application and details on market. Okay, any other questions or comments? We'll put the street where it is, a little bit about what they'll have. Okay, add details, and we'll discuss that tomorrow, Tanya.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. There's no other questions on that. We'll go to the Riverdale Avenue. Okay, whoops, we can't see it.
Come back to it, sorry.
Now, I have, had conversations with Deb,
Can you see
and
this one?
I told her that there will be a number of, friendly amendments, whereases. And so I have a conversation with her tomorrow that we'll have, and I mapped out a few of, my ideas, which I, kind of shared with her. It's just been a difficult week for her. I'm sorry she's not here, but so whereas the Bronx Department of Transportation presented on March 31st to the Bronx Community Board 8 Traffic and Transportation Committee a street safety plan for Riverdale Avenue between 254th Street and the city line, which would involve converting 4 travel lanes to 2 travel lanes with a left turn bay and bike lanes on each side of the street. Okay, that's a good beginning. That's correct. And we have our resolve, the Traffic and Transportation rejects the proposal as presented. So what should go in between, and we welcome comments. I'm just going to read a draft of something. Okay, I'm just throwing it out to you guys. Whereas Riverdale Avenue is the main commercial artery in North Riverdale and home to 4 schools, which I think should be named in the college, 2 religious institutions, many co-op buildings and private residences, and 5 city buses plus Metro North Rail Link. Then I would go into, whereas Community Board 8 was not involved with the planning process and did not receive traffic or engineering studies. By the way, I've requested them.
Pardon me, but we do not have the power to amend something that committee voted on.
No, I'm not writing it down. I'm
And
just
it's
throwing out.
really not a productive use of committee time to be doing this without the chair here. This
Look,
should go before the board and let the board hash it out.
Yes, but this is exact.
It is not our place. It is not our
No,
place.
Bob, she's not typing anything.
But
She's not typing anything. This is
we
exact.
are debating then and thinking, and that's what the board is for.
All right.
I agree with
I don't
Bob on
see
that.
this as a good use of our time.
I got it. I
Let
will
the
talk
board
to her
hash it
tomorrow,
out.
and yeah, no. I got it, and frankly, it's a big relief for me, Ed, do you have any comments or anything to say?
Lisa has her hand up.
All right, Lisa?
Thank you. I just want to say, I don't know that the committee actually voted on this resolution. The resolution wasn't there. I took it as a strong man's, as a straw poll to get to the end, but the resolution itself, with the whereas, the formal resolution was not voted on by the committee.
I believe
Well,
it was.
And also,
but yes, it was. Yes, it was.
what I put together? Did everyone receive my email?
Yes.
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 Yes. Just want to check.
All right, so being on that committee, I'm the one who brought the resolution from the floor. There was no whereas clauses involved. The chair basically just asked, do you have a resolution? And I said, yes, the resolution is we reject the proposal. And that's it. We voted on it. It was 5-2. But I agree with what Lisa was saying about in her email, that there needs to be further whereas clauses in here, and I think that's what you were trying to do here, Laura, is fill in some of the blanks.
Yeah, well,
It needs to be told the story of how the community came out overwhelmingly against this, and so it's not just a simple this was brought before the committee and the committee rejected it. There has to be a detailed story there.
Yeah, the whereases provide the facts that support the be it resolved. And I'm sorry that they weren't here, but before, you're right. The full board has to vote on friendly
And
amendments have to be
it
thrown
is-
out and accepted or
up-
rejected, and
it's
then we
up to
vote
the
on them,
chair.
and so
I think
that's the process.
Lisa's point has been made, our point, Ed's point has been made, that should
Good.
be communicated to Deb, and she needs to amend. If she doesn't before the board, then I'm sure others will.
Yes,
Okay.
I have a question about that part of the process. Over the next couple of days, can Deb communicate with the members of the committee, I'm on the committee as well, with the various whereas clauses and get us to agree with it so that there is a formal, relatively
No.
final version of the resolution presented on Tuesday so that we don't have to have an elongated back and forth amongst 40 people.
Marty, what do you think?
Deb has the authority as chair to amend her own resolution before she brings it before the committee, or before the board. I would just make people aware that if she has any kind of meeting that by definition requires public notice, etc. But if she contacts individuals and say, what do you think I should put into it, that's fine.
Okay,
I
So
don't-
Marty, just so
Uh-uh.
I'm clear, Deb still has chair of the committee, could submit before Tuesday a resolution that will be discussed on the floor, but she can add those things because she's the chair of the committee.
So long as she maintains, and we've had this before, as long as she maintains the intent of the resolution, then she has liberties. If she violates it, then a member of the committee can stand up and say, that's not
Right.
our resolution.
Well, the be it resolved is very clear here, and so she needed more time. She has a lot of conflicts and things going on right now. So she will flesh that out, and then it will be discussed. I don't know, Marty, whether it gets sent then to the committee, as he said, or just gets debated on the floor at the full board.
Well, it'll be to her advantage to talk to the committee individually or email back and forth. It's part of the public record.
Okay,
Very
thank
good.
you.
thank you.
Mm-mm.
All right, so,
I disagree. I'm sorry. I'm
Completely
saying I
disagree.
disagree.
all right, go ahead, Bob.
I completely disagree.
I gotta make
It's
this.
fine for the committee to offer a laundry list of amendments that she can make on the spot to the board in open meeting, the parliamentary procedure. Let her
Mhm.
recruit amendments from members of her committee that she will bring before us through when it is moved and seconded. And she will have a laundry list of things if she wants to raise. And if she doesn't, then someone else could raise them. But we can't amend something that's been voted on in an open meeting. This has a vote. This has 5-2. This has a date. This has language. It's done. It's baked. It can be amended on the floor. And Deb, if wants to include her committee's additions, we're all ears. They just had to say, these are amendments. Do we vote on the amendments? Then we vote on the amendments. But it would be nice if she had a list of 4 or 5, a laundry list, like I said, of whereas that would be added.
Yeah, I
Okay,
mean,
but
short-
she cannot be doing this. I'm very against doing stuff that should be done in an open meeting via email. And it should not be allowed to creep into email. Please keep it in the meeting. It's
This
open
has-
meetings law and parliamentary procedure. The vote was taken. Now we can amend, but we can only amend under open meetings law. That's it.
This has happened many times in the past. The procedure we have followed is that the resolution is the chair's to bring forward. As far as I know, and they can correct me, because I observed the meeting, I was there. There was nothing in writing
Yeah.
as to what his resolution was.
I think
And
it's a perfect.
therefore, it was
yeah.
given to the
Yeah.
chair to put it in formal writing.
Yeah, Marty, I
So
feel
long
it's
as
been
she is
properly.
consistent,
Marty has the
Hello?
floor, Bob.
I'm sorry.
so long as she is consistent with what the intent of the committee was, until it reaches the board, it's in her hands. And this has happened over and over again with various committees.
See, I think that Deb was constrained because it was not in writing to say exactly what Ed just said, and she acted completely properly. So, in saying that it is rejected and that's the end. If she had added whereases, that would have been a problem because it would not have reflected the conversations among committee members. So as long as Ed said, I'm against it, and everyone said, so are we, and it was passed in that form. It's perfect the way it is at this
We
point.
okay,
But if you wanted
My
to amend,
recollection is she verbalized what is written.
I can't, who has the floor, Laura? Who has the
There's a
floor?
lot of hands up here, Laura.
You know,
I'm surrendering the floor.
okay, everybody stop because I have to go to this. You know what? I wasn't looking at the participants list. I was listening, did not see hands. Thank you. All right, Rosemary?
You know,
I'm
you
so sorry.
finished, Bob Fanuzzi was on, is he finished? Just give the floor to somebody.
I am
People
done.
just don't jump in,
I
okay?
am done. I am done.
Okay, okay, so, for my part, I am very grateful for Lisa's email. I feel very touched by it, and those who sat through the committee heard a lot of people. It was like 160, 150
It was
people.
200 at the most.
There you go, there you go. And without, there is no blame here. I'm not putting any blame, but for this resolution, as it appears on the screen, to be the resolution of this community board on this issue is not right. It has to change. I also agree with Bob Fanuzzi. It needs to be done on the floor. It is not up to the executive committee to tell the TNT committee what their reasons were, what their rationale was. If it's not stated in that resolution, it's going to have to come from the full board on the floor, to the extent that members want to add to it or put a rationale to it. I'm with Bob Fanuzzi. It cannot be done off screen. It can't be done, but it really should not be done. Not on this issue. Not on this issue. This is an important issue. I will just say, but tangentially, I am going to say this entire issue was a disgrace, that we did not have that plan ahead of time. And I will save my comments for the end of the meeting. I want to talk further about DOT's posture to us. So I will not go on here, Madam Chair. I won't do that. But when it comes to the resolution, it needs to be changed. The rationale is not there. Once again, pointing no fingers, no fault, and it has to be corrected at the board at an open meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary. Dan?
First, I agree with Bob Fanuzzi. We can't have private phone calls to come up with a resolution behind the scenes. There's advisory opinions on this. You can't do it through a series of phone calls. Now, what we have done in the past is the chair has asked for amendments and asked for people to send them information if they have anything to say. But this can't be done behind the scenes in email and phone calls. Any changes to it, brought to the floor, which, for an issue this big, I certainly have a problem with the way this whole thing went down, starting with DOT not giving us the proposal and the plan. I mean, this is 10 blocks of a major thoroughfare in our community board that covers a lot of businesses, covers a school, covers a few schools, I'm sorry, a church. And they literally did not give us the presentation before the meeting. They showed up at the meeting and presented it on Zoom. I'm guessing most of our board hasn't even seen this. I mean, I don't think the board office sent out the proposal after the meeting. I mean, I went online to look at it at DOT. But this is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, the very next day. I remember Keith Kalb said, I'm going to put it on the website the next day, which
Yeah, he
is how I
didn't.
found it. Well, I found it on their website. But I don't think the board has sent it out. So I'm guessing
it's
most
on-
board members are coming up Tuesday and they still haven't seen this proposal, which is pretty big. We have a resolution which really doesn't say too much to it. And I don't know how we fix it at this point, but I can tell you with 200 people at a meeting, that's serious concern. And I was at the meeting and I listened in, and I can tell you of the 200 people there, I'm guessing maybe 15 people from the community were able to speak before that conversation was sent back to the committee. And this is a really big deal for this community. And Lisa, I appreciate your email. I agree with your thoughts, your sentiment, your words, and I hope we can fix this somehow and actually get more attention out and more opinion out from the community. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. The plan is on our website and it was in our newsletter that was just recently sent.
Can we email it? Just
Did we?
basic email to our unit, like to our board members?
No, we can, yeah. We can, but I mean, not to say that we didn't get it out. We did. They sent it on the weekend. He didn't send
When you
it the
say-
next day. I had to ask twice. We
So
kept looking
even,
on.
so it was
Laura's site.
days after the meeting is when they finally sent it to us?
Yes.
I mean,
Because
that's,
the
it's
meeting.
a disgrace.
Yes.
No,
it
no,
is.
no, I'm saying it's disgraceful from the agency to
meeting
do
was
that.
on
It's an absolute
Thursday,
disgrace.
And
Yeah,
we wrote
yeah.
him 3 times on Friday. And on Friday, I also asked him for the engineering reports and, you know, all the studies, et cetera. So,
So I
yeah.
asked
but we
rhetorically, and I
can
know the
continue
conversation came up.
individually. We can continue.
I don't think we've served the community here. I really don't. And I'll end there. I'll stop there.
And it's certainly, I agree that we need some facts in between. We need some whereases, and I believe that will happen. And we all heard, we were at the hearing. Bob Bender.
Thank you, Laura. Yeah, there's nobody defending DOT. You know, what they did was wrong, and I don't particularly care to beat that dead horse any further. What I do want to address is the question of procedure here. And I have to admit, I'm baffled by the discussion we're having over what is and isn't appropriate procedure. As Marty said, we have done this many, many times. Deb had a meeting that ran 4 hours. And so, yeah, they didn't go into any detail, but they did take the sentiment of the committee, and this vote accurately reflects the sentiment of the committee. So in that respect, it did its job on the basics. There's a lot of detail that needs to be added to this resolution. We're all in agreement on that. The question is, what's the proper procedure for doing that? If Deb wants to go back to the committee and work out the wording on this and bring that wording with the consensus of the committee to the board meeting on Tuesday, that strikes me as much more intelligent than going into the meeting on Tuesday on an issue as convenient as this, throwing it completely open, and we will spend half an hour, if we don't spend 45 minutes, trying to hash out the precise wording. So I totally agree with the procedure of having Deb go back to her committee members, go over the whereas clauses, add the information that we all know is missing, and come to the board with a resolution that will be presented publicly, discussed publicly, and can be amended publicly at the board meeting as required. So that's how I see it, and thank you for the time.
Thank you, Bob. Marty.
Just want to note on this very evening, a resolution was proposed a bit earlier that the committee did not have before them, and that Chuck basically off the top of his head developed, and people said, yes, that's what we have in mind, but nobody had it in hand, nobody saw it. What we saw tonight was a rewriting or a formal writing of what the committee generally agreed to. So I don't know why this suddenly has created great furor. If it's taken this much time in this small group, believe what's going to happen next week when everyone has an opinion, everyone's turn to speak. So I still have no problem with Deb going back to a committee, not holding a meeting, because you have to have public notice for that. But if she asks for input from members of her committee and decides where, their recommendations, what she should do with it, and she writes the resolution that she presents on Tuesday, to me, that's sufficient. But I will
Well-
do research before then.
Well, thank you, Mr. Parliamentarian. Okay. So I see more hands. I see Ed, Dan and Fanuzzi. Is that from before? Okay. Ed.
All right, so, I mean, looking back, if this were to be done all over again, because we see what's gonna happen, it's gonna go to the full board and we're gonna be trying to wordsmith this for a half an hour, like someone mentioned, but if we had to do this again, obvious, I mean, we do the whereas clauses in committee. The problem with that is, like somebody mentioned too, the meeting did go on 4 hours. We were all at our wits' end and they were trying to move on to the next topic. But moving forward, I see that elongating the meeting to do that is gonna cause, is gonna save us a lot of misery. So in hindsight, that's what probably should have been done, is we should have just carefully went through what the whereas clauses are and voted on the resolution, and that would have been the proper way to do it. But I'm totally against like the prospect of having messages sent, and it kind of relitigated, not in an open meeting setting and then brought to the floor. It just, we've gone down this road before in this committee, and it doesn't turn out pretty. So I think what's left, the only way to do this is to bring it before the full board, and however long it takes, we have to hash it out correctly. It's too important, as Rosemary suggested. That's it.
Deb as chair is going to take this in hand and also saw Lisa's letter and understands where things could, are missing and could be clear. And as chair, she is going to adjust this resolution, I trust. So why don't we leave it at that and see what Deb comes up with? And she's going to send it out in advance of the full board meeting. And that's what we're going to do. She is chair. She's not here tonight. She knows that there's going to be friendly amendments. She will deal with this. She's still the chair. I see Marty, is your hand up from before? Dan, is your hand up from before?
No, I just wanted to add something, on land use the other night, and we do this in committees all the time, where we say what the resolution is if we're creating it from the floor. And that's what folks are voting on. And, it appears that's what Deb had done at this meeting.
Mhm.
And she used what the committee's verbiage was at the meeting. And that's what we did with Chuck's resolution the other night. Chuck read off a series of be it resolves. And we voted on what Chuck orally stated to the community, which from my understanding, Tanya basically wrote down and is appearing on the resolution tonight. So the committee is voting on that. And again, I have nothing wrong with folks who want to email a chair and say, these are my thoughts on the resolution. My problem is when it goes a step further and you're actually having a conversation and reaching a decision before the meeting with other members. That's when I think you get into trouble with conducting business in private. I just forwarded an advisory opinion for the folks to look at, something to just read and see if maybe that makes a little more sense with the issue.
You know what it
Thank you.
is? I think in Chuck's instance, we weren't clamoring and no one was clamoring for whereases. With this, I think we all agree that you need a few reasons, a few facts, a few things that were said that will reinforce the reason you had that be it resolved. So I'm sure
No,
this is gonna work.
I agree, Laura.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
Chuck's be it resolves basically spell out the issue
Right.
with an action in it.
And this one didn't. It just gave,
Doesn't.
a bottom line. And so it calls for that. Then I understand it was 4.5 hours. She still had it, I get
But
that. We can work
This
this
issue is
out.
wrapped up in two, though. I mean, I think I left the meeting about 9 o'clock after this one.
Well, we would have been leaving, if we had, look, these were her decisions. It was a difficult
I'm
meeting.
just saying, but before we say it was a 4-hour meeting, this issue wasn't 4 hours.
Okay, so let's move on if we can. Good?
please,
Marty, you have the last word?
last word, just I want to know if Dan is prepared to quote word for word what Chuck off the top of his head was saying that night.
From
I
this
still-
moment, no.
I don't think you can at all, unless you go back to the tape. The fact
Of
is, what
course.
we voted
And I think
on,
that's what Tanya did.
what we voted on is what we thought that Chuck would include in the resolution, not that we knew word for word what was in the resolution. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Everybody, I'd like to move on, if that's okay, to voting on our executive committee session. Okay?
Wait a minute, Laura, don't we have issues for discussion? Is it beyond resolutions?
Holy moly. Yeah, we do.
Okay,
Okay, I'm 10 steps ahead. All right. Where's my agenda? Issues for discussion. We
Can I-
finished committee resolutions, committee member issues for discussion. Go ahead. Sorry.
You speaking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. Just briefly, it's budget time. As everybody knows, the budgets are due in 2.5 weeks on the 22nd. Granted, there are 2 or 3 committees that are going to meet afterward. I ask that you folks, those of you who are of those 2 or 3 committees, those chairs, to please formulate your final capital requests and your expense requests in the final format, and then in the meeting, just finalize the wording and the rows in their priority, and then forward that to the office. But so we can get this done. We can't, I don't want to have it that people start looking at it on the 25th of the month. Please get those of you who can, get your budget requests into the office and CC me, please, by Friday, the 22nd. And the 2 or 3 of you that are not, please prep it and distribute it with your committee members beforehand and get it to me. You should be able to do it the following day. And once again, if you need help in the technical shifting of the rows and all that, please feel free to call me. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Ed.
Okay, I just wanted to bring up 2 committee issues for Public Safety Committee that we had. At our last full board meeting, Michael Greco of the Firefighters Union appeared during our gallery session to inform the full board that EMS unit Victor 27 was going to be removed. And it raised concerns because we have 15 nursing homes in the area, and it raised a lot of concern. I just wanted to let everybody know that I had a conversation with Fabricio from FDNY, and I was informed that the unit is not going to be removed until October. So, and the Firefighters Union is on board with this. I don't know what further discussions are going to, they still plan on removing the service as it is now, but at least, I guess the more time has been bought for this. So the unit will not be removed immediately as previously stated by FDNY, and we have more time with that unit there until October anyway, and until further things are negotiated, I guess. So that was one thing. And the other thing is, I just wanted to let everybody know that Bronx District Attorney Darcel Clark has committed to attending our April 19th public safety meeting to have a discussion on bail reform and what impacts it has on our community. So the only thing we don't know right now, whether this is going to be an in-person meeting at the 50th precinct or it's going to be on Zoom. I, for one, hope it's going to be on Zoom. As we can see from other meetings, we had 200 people at a Zoom meeting. I seriously doubt we'd have anything close to that if the meeting was in person. So I've always stated that Zoom, encourages more community participation. So, and in an instance like this, I think it's important because I just want to encourage everybody to attend this meeting because this is a critical issue. She's going to be speaking on bail reform. It's a critical issue in our community, city, and state with regards to public safety. So I think it's a big deal for our committee to have Darcel Clark commit to come in person. Let's hope it's on Zoom. And that's it. That's what I got.
I hope many board members will join. I know I certainly will. Thank you, Ed. I know you
saw that.
worked on getting that.
Congratulate you for getting her.
Yeah. Ed's been working on that back and forth for a few weeks now. So Pablo was dogged about it too. And so excellent. Rosemary.
Oh, thank you. I have 2 short questions and 1 statement. Bear with me, okay? We're at the end of the meeting. This is where you invite people to. Okay, 1 question. Board of Standards and Appeals, Orloff Avenue. Kira's been, okay, not here. I've asked when is the public hearing, the Board of Standards and Appeals public hearing on Olaf Avenue? If somebody could, in the office, could put that down on their sheet and just, when is the public hearing on Olaf Avenue BSA? Number two, last month, in talking on the
I'll have to watch
treasurer's,
it again.
I'm sorry. Okay, on the treasurer's report, we talked about the spending of money of the community board on things for the office. And there was a discussion, as we all know, things have to be ordered and received before the end of the fiscal year. And it was stated, I don't think it was you, Laura, I think it was Kira said that there was going to be a budget amendment in April to put in the changing of the budget to purchase this stuff so that we can meet the deadline. So my question is, are we going to have a budget amendment
We're gonna have a
for
budget
the
mod.
April meeting? A budget
Yes.
amendment for the April meeting? Good, that's great. Thank you. That's the second
A
question.
budget mod.
A budget mod. That's it. That's right, a budget mod. Good.
We will
Okay.
have that for the full. board.
Good. Okay, the last thing is on DOT. And I have to tell you, Bob Bender, you're too kind a person. Okay, that dead horse, I want to keep beating it. What DOT did is a disgrace. All the years in government that I have been, all the years on this board, I have never seen a city agency say to a community board, which is a sister agency, no, we're not going to show you the information. Forget the community, to a sister agency. This is not acceptable. When I asked the question at the meeting, will we get the plan, right? We still didn't have it at the meeting. We didn't have it except what they're flashing up on the screen. The representative DOT said, it will be on our website tomorrow. And the community board can do with it whatever they want to do with it. That's the snarkiest response from a city agency. That is not the way a city agency should talk to a city agency. I really want to know, whether it's by resolution of the board or whatever, what is the posture of DOT in the future when we, the community board, as a sister agency, ask for information so the community and community board members can see it ahead of a committee meeting? I want to know what their posture is for the future. Are they going to continue with this attitude? After it's on our website, you can do with it whatever you want to do. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm telling you, there should be a resolution on this or some thing that the community board does in response to what we were shown, with the disrespect we were shown by that agency.
I want to also add that the same disrespect was shown to our elected officials. Okay. And I want to say that I wrote Adonis a very strong letter, Commissioner Rodriguez, and I want to say that it was a disgrace. The meeting was on Thursday. On Monday, along with Councilman Dinowitz, I did see a briefing on it. But that's not the same thing as having the plan, which is
Not even close to it.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Having the plan, but I have to just be factual with, what happened. The elected officials were outraged. We were all outraged. We'll continue to be outraged. It's not over, but it's, it's.
Bear with me, one sentence, honest to God, Madam Chair, I swear, one sentence, and it is from the lawsuit on the open meeting. The judge says the following, one sentence, that for a taxpayer-supported agency to declare, in effect, that the open restaurants program has no negative impact on our streets and communities because that agency unilaterally made that determination serves only as a thinly veiled attempt to avoid statutory scrutiny of the program by a baseless declaration of its own omnipotence. That to me is absolutely, for a judge to say that about DOT, and it's time that we do something about this. Oh, I'm sorry, I will stop. Thank you for listening to me.
thank you for the comments, all on point. Rob, your hand is up.
Yeah, this is just a reminder to chairs that when they take a vote, can you make sure you note the people voting and how they vote rather than voted by acclamation, just in the minutes, so that there's a kind of public record. Unanimous, I guess, is okay, but by acclamation is a little vague. So it would be better to have the names and how exactly.
Always, so we don't
Okay.
get into the majority or whatever.
Right.
Always. And I think that this is kind of a function on Zoom. When you're in person, it's just different. I think
It's
that
difficult. Yeah,
It
people are
is.
in and out.
Okay, thank you, Rob. Good point. Marty, your hand is up.
Yeah, two things. I want to talk about LRE, but I also want to beat the same dead horse that Rosemary is at. In April, I'm not sure it was 2020 or 2021, when I wrote on behalf of the board to DOT, the Bronx Commissioner, complaining about what I read in the City and State magazine, that DOT wanted to get rid of the city charter, which said that they had to talk to community boards before such operations. And I waited for an answer, and we had a land use meeting, and the commissioner was down, and he apologized for not responding. Now that he's no longer commissioner, I don't think I'm ever going to get an answer, but the issue is still the same. And we've been on record since my April letter as to why they want to ignore the city charter. But as far as the LRE is concerned, I made a report on Monday night on the working committee on STAG and reported on what we have been able to learn. I shared information. I will share with the office so they can put out in the minutes of the land use the chart or the outline that I set up in terms of the facts and information available. So far, without looking in the rearview mirror, and I don't want to look in the rearview mirror, we have been driving very cooperatively on smooth road with respect to working with STAG. And I hope to keep it that way. On our meeting on Monday, it's coming Monday, Alex Kipp from the COIB Conflict of Interest Board will be speaking. I've asked him to discuss 3 topics that have been of concern to the committee. One's been driving me crazy, refers to, and I'm sure I've mentioned this before, that there was a Manhattan member of a community board who happens to be employed at the Armory in Manhattan in the same board area. And when the board was considering something negative concerning her, not her agency, but the Armory in general, she spoke, everyone knew who she was. So in effect, she declared and she discussed, and she did not vote, but they fined her, I think $1,500 for representing her agency in before a city agency, which is the community board. I wanted to know, and I've asked how representing is different than discussing when you've already declared. And the committee's not been able to come to a resolution, so I'm asking Alex to clarify that for us. I also, there was some question at the community board. Something came out of the Bronx Borough President's office warning all of us not to use our office as a board member for any political activities in support of a purpose or a candidate and whatever. And there was some confusion on the committee, so I'm asking him to discuss that. And the final thing is, at the request of SCREE, we took up the issue of the former mayor's commission on racial equity, which has come up, and there will be 4 ballot issues in this coming November. And while we look to learn from it, the question was raised that in a previous life, when the last city charter came up, where they wanted to limit community board membership, time limits, term limits, we wanted to take a position, and we were advised by the law office that we cannot discuss ballot issues against the law to do so, against the city charter to do so. So I've asked them to declare that. I also hope to finally, and I'll say it a third time, finally, because I've had to table it 4 times, they come up with draft guidelines on how committees should operate. And except for this brouhaha tonight about a resolution, I thought that Deb did a really great job in following a set of rules, which she announced at first and followed during the course of that meeting. And I think it's a guideline for all of us at our next meeting to look at what can and should be done. And finally, this is a heads up. You all know that the open meetings law requires that within 2 weeks of a meeting and 24 hours before a meeting, within 2 weeks, there should be a publication of the minutes of the meeting, and 24 hours before a meeting takes place, there should be publication of any resolution that is to be discussed. We all know, as given tonight, resolutions cannot always, they're developed less than 24 hours before a meeting, so that can't always be followed. And the law says as practicable. But the issue being raised by at least one, possibly more members of the board is that they, I'm getting an echo from somebody. They are, there's a concern that, and I'm not the police. I don't know what committees have done and when their minutes have come out, but apparently some people are concerned that we're in violation, and these people have no difficulty complaining about us to other agencies, borough president and whomever else, that Community Board 8 is not following the rules of the open meetings law. So I give all the chairs heads up. Please get your minutes and your resolutions out within those timeframes. That's it.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you. I'm going to ask Bob Bender to take over for 2 minutes. We'll be right back. Next is Bob Finuzzi. Bob?
Thanks, Laura. Thanks. Laura, I'm just going to talk about the new schedule that we're proposing and the PDC action that we discussed last night.
Okay.
Everyone, we learned yesterday that the Department of Environmental Protection will be appearing before Community Board 8 previous to June to submit for our approval a submission to the Public Design Commission. And this application is for preliminary approval of the daylighting project that we saw a couple of months ago in December. So this, apropos of our conversation we just had about DOT, this is 2 months in advance, and we do know what they're coming to us for. Okay, they're looking for PDC approval. Sometimes people come and they don't even tell the community board what action they seek to take or seek to get from us. And we do have some time now. Ramdad and I were originally planning to hold a joint meeting to renew our conversation and our inspection of their proposal from December, and we were going to hold that in May. And now that won't work, because if you know the calendar, that Laura already announced that the June date is now pushed to the end. If we were to pass a resolution of some kind jointly in May, it wouldn't come before the full board until the end of June. And I believe the PDC is taking submissions on June 19th. So everyone sees this, and we do not want anything said at the joint meeting at the end of May to be construed as the will of the board. I just need to make it clear that anything said that, and we've seen situations in which
people or committees make representations of opinion, and it's fine. But then the agency says it's the will of the community board, which is not. The will of the community board is only rendered in the form of votes and resolutions. So we are seeking now to move up this presentation to the end of April. And I just wanted everybody to know I put this, it's more like a condition because the agencies cannot go to PDC without, it's their job to present as part of their package a board resolution. So they need to go on our calendar actually. And if they don't, this will be a big problem for PDC, I can guarantee it. So we haven't heard yet. We're telling them April instead of May. And it is part of the compliance with the charter and the Public Design Commission that they have this. Now, although the stakes are high, the preliminary submission is obviously not the end of the line in terms of design, and it probably is to ensure that daylighting and Greenway has capital funding. It is part of the process of city government to embed it in the capital process. So that is to say, all of this is good, that they are submitting, and we got notice and we got information, and we're seeking to change it so the community board has maximum participation and feedback. So that's just news from the Daylighting and Greenway front. Thank you, Madam or Mr. Chair, Vice Chair.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm back. Thanks, Bob.
Okay, Laura. Yeah, thanks.
This project is over 20 years, the Greenway and the daylighting of Tibbetts Brook. So this is actually very exciting that it's moving along. And if you recall from the Putnam Trail PDC, there were plenty of changes made and asked by PDC based on community outreach and letters, so much so that Parks went back several times to PDC. I expect this is going to also will have a big impact on what the design is. And I hope everybody
Absolutely.
I hope everybody will attend the April joint meeting. I congratulate Bob and Ramdot for quickly taking charge of this technical problem and moving their meeting up so that we could have a full board vote in time to have that resolution. But it is very exciting news that this is moving along, capital, getting into the capital system, and it's very exciting. So I hope everybody goes to those things. There's something else I just wanted to announce on this. The DEP and DPR have established what's called a Tibbet Advisory Group. They are having a remote meeting on April 19th. We will send out information on that, where they're going to review the plan. And then very importantly, on April 21st, they are going to have a site visit from 9 a.m. to noon. I registered for it today. I just got the invitation today, and we'll be sending it out to the board and putting it up on the website, etc. Where we'll go to Broadway and we'll look at the prospective access points. We'll start at the park. And so they're arranging this whole tour. So those are 2 dates, and we'll send out information about it. And as you know, phase 1 is supposed to start in 2025, and that's why they're starting this now with PDC. That would be phase 1. It's going to take years. So I'm glad that we're working out the logistics here. Any other hands or comments?
Are
Bob?
we on?
I have Robert Finuzzi, we just spoke, Bob Bender, then David, then Dan. Okay, Bob?
Thank you, Laura. Yeah, I just wanted to take another whack at that dead horse.
Oh.
Carve it up into little pieces.
Yeah.
I think I mean, look, the sentiment's unanimous. We all have exactly the same response to what happened with DOT. So all that I'm going to suggest at this point is that, the proper place for this evisceration of this dead equine is at the resolution that is being put together for the TNT committee. I think that's the place where we add a whereas clause in which we express the sentiment that we all have that, DOT's behavior on this matter was just indefensible. So that's the only contribution I have to make. I think that's the right place for it.
From your mouth to Deb's ears.
I have Deb's number.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I'm
so do
saying-
you. Yeah.
I just make, yeah, no, I think that's a good suggestion. I'm sure it'll go forward. Thanks, Bob. David and then Dan.
Yes, two pieces of housekeeping. Tanya, I sent a message to the office last Tuesday about the front page of of our website missing 22 and 23 budget items. It was brought to my attention in the Economic Development Committee meeting. And so I wanted to get that updated, and it has not been. And then just quickly, Marty, I sent you an email Thursday asking for the documents that you want us to discuss Monday, because as you recall, I did not receive them because of the BCCs. Actually, that does remind me of another thing. I think we need to have a policy of how we do BCCs, because a lot of documents are going out. Like, I didn't get any attachments from LRE for months because nobody knew that, including myself, that I wasn't on the BCC list. And now I fully understand that, when we send something out to the whole world, we don't want to show CCs and give away everybody's email address. But when we're in a small context of like a committee, we should either show the CCs or identify in the body of the email who this is going to. But we don't need to discuss this in detail now, but it's something that we should address, because it happened in LRE, it happened in economic development. I'm sure it happened in other committees that it wasn't clear who the documents are actually going to. Thank you.
Good point to be discussed. I think it's nice when you see who else got this email. And then if
Yeah,
you
but-
want to reply all, it's convenient. So point taken.
David, I thought you were in contact with the office to correct that, and you received the CCs.
I did contact them to correct it going forward, but not any historical stuff. So whatever documents you want me to read for Monday, I'd appreciate if you would forward them.
Tanya, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Sure, but it should be noted that when we do send out, BCCs, they are, we do have distribution lists set up. So, if it's addressed to exec, then of course everyone who is a member of the executive committee is on the distribution list, or LRE, or any other committee. So it is.
But the issue is that it wasn't known, because there were BCCs, it wasn't known that people were missing from at least LRE and economic development. And I don't know about other committees, but clearly nobody was aware of that. Things happen. Administrative mistakes happen, but it disappeared for 8 months.
All right, why don't we continue this offline? Okay. Thanks,
Agreed.
Amy.
No,
Okay,
thank you.
Dan.
Just two questions. The first one, I guess it would be for Bob and for Ramdat. You mentioned this meeting now that DEP and Parks are going to come back and present, for PDC. Have we received a more detailed plan from the agency? I know I saw the proposal that went out back in, I think it was December, but there wasn't really a detailed proposal. We didn't see a lot of the parkland that was going to be created,
Yeah.
like at least detail wise.
Bob and I had
end up
discussed
in a-
asking for it.
Yeah, no,
So-
we do not answer Dan's question. Dan,
Mhm.
no, we do not have anything from different than what you saw, we all saw in December. And I'm conjecturing that we may not, of course, we'll ask to get it in advance, you don't have to worry about that, but
Yeah.
there may be something new presented on the 19th at this Tibbetts Advisory Group, which DEP set up as kind of like a parallel civic engagement, if you know what I mean, to community board. And that might well be a preview, Dan, but I have not seen a thing, honestly. And yeah,
So my
and
concern, Bob, Yeah, no, it's probably the same as everyone's concern. Like right now, if we're going to PDC, this is a design thing. You know, we're supposed to talk about the design of this park that's coming with the
Right.
project.
Right.
We have nothing in front of us right now.
I know, I
And if
know.
DEP presented that to me at this moment, I love the project. I want the project. It's been a long time in the motion, but I don't know how I can vote on something that I don't see in front of me
Of course not.
when
Yeah.
we're talking about the design.
So
So
we do.
I don't know how
do-
we address that from here, but it's a concern and I think it's an important concern.
Well, let's get the design, whatever they're gonna present, let's make sure we get it, okay, beforehand.
Mhm.
And let's figure out what actually preliminary means, okay? It may be that what they submit is what we've already seen, which is basically a schematic. And this may be just a placeholder for keeping them alive or entering this into the system, if you know what I mean. I have no idea. I don't know how they come up with anything more than what we saw in 3 months. That's ridiculous. And I don't even know, frankly, I don't know what landscape architect they've hired. I know, and I would have heard, honestly.
Mhm.
So I will inquire before and make sure we know what is the scope of our decision. Is it nitty gritty design? Obviously, we told them about our ULURP, and we told them about our requirements for what counts as greenway design. But I will I will find out, not do my best, but I will find out what will be the specificity and the specifically the ask on the community
Mhm.
board side. Because like I say, it may be just concept, it may be what we've already seen, but if it's anything in detail, we are really going to need time in the weeds with this. It's kind of like there are so many ramifications here. And
I would just say, I think everybody wants to vote for this. Everybody wants this
of
project to move
course, yeah,
forward.
yeah.
But another big part is what are the access points going to look like? And I think a lot of the
Exactly,
design
yeah.
features are going to come within the access points too.
They're not going to have all of that. I guarantee it. They don't know. They don't know those things. But whatever we say that in that, whatever judgment we decide to make, we will be able to say, this does not constitute approval of access. This, we demand coming back for this. So the PDC is going to expect us to have a set of instructions because they look, when I've gone through these things with the comments of PDC, they actually reference community board preferences. So we're not going to see the whole thing, obviously. It's only been 3 months really since they even met, but we do need a very specific roadmap for what we need to see, what we want to see, what are our priorities. So this has to be a very thoughtful resolution. And it has to be a roadmap for them coming back and what's not there, those kind of things. So I hear you, Dan, and I agree.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments?
Yeah, no comments on that.
Okay, any other
Just-
committee
I
member
have
issues for
just-
discussion?
The only question I have, and you know, it's something from a few months ago, and you know, we had an offline exchange, and I just wonder, has there been any more conversations about another FMC meeting with the other board chairs?
Yes, I've contacted the board chairs and
Okay.
DEP, and I don't have a date, but yes, I
Okay.
have contacted them.
Are they looking to do something before end of our session, like before June?
Possibly June. It wouldn't be before June. So
Okay, thank you.
keep you advised. Yes, yes. Any other committee member issues for discussion? Any other follow-up on outstanding issues? Okay, so I guess, let me find my paperwork here.
Laura?
Yes.
Hi, excuse me. I just wanted to take a moment to say to David, I'd like to say excuse me for not responding and not getting in touch with you today. It has been absolutely a little
Oh, no, no
Madam?
problem, no problem.
It's
No,
the-
no, 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 I'm
but I
sorry.
do want to acknowledge, I don't want to be dismissive, and I don't want to, I don't want that to be the perception. But yes, I did make a note of that, and I failed to contact you, so I want to excuse myself for that. And I just want to clarify, and thank you also to you and Marty for helping with the language today, for that resolution. And I just wanted to, I'll reach out to you tomorrow so that we make sure that my notes are right. That your request tonight was to update the budget information on the website for fiscal year 24, is it? Or
No,
23?
22 and 23 on the
20,
front
23.
page of our website as opposed to the committee page, which is accurate.
Front page. Okay, and then the only other note that I made for you was that the BCC policy, you'd like us to identify who the communication is addressed to. Is that correct?
Yeah, because you don't know that you don't know.
Well, we'll do that offline.
Yeah, we can do it
Thank you.
offline, but no, Tanya, don't worry about it.
Thank you
I
for
know you're
allowing me the
busy.
time.
Thank you, Tanya. I was the one who said, you just have time to transcribe and send, and we straightened it out tonight, so it's all good. It's all good. Okay. Now, I'm taking a deep breath. All right. In accordance with section 105 of the Open Meetings Law, I'm making a motion to enter into executive session. Because I have an item relating to acquisition or lease of real property. So if I may, is there anyone opposed to going into executive session? Please raise your hand.
Madam Chair, I'm not opposed, but just technically, can you you have to get rid of everybody else. If you get rid
Yes.
of Tanya, or do we go offline? Just you
No,
have that
no,
arranged?
what I told Tanya
Okay.
is we're going to vote to go into executive session, and Tanya is
Mhm.
going to put everybody in the waiting room.
Actually,
Until we
I'm
vote.
signing off. Good to see everyone
Okay.
again.
Good to see you. Bye, Lisa.
Okay, so you have control. It doesn't, okay, that's all. I have no problem.
I give Tanya a few minutes to do that, and I'm sorry, everybody, we have to put you in the waiting room while the executive committee goes into executive session.
Laura, Dan
We've
has.
taken, oh, yeah, no, have we taken the vote?
I asked if there was anyone opposed. I didn't see any hands.
Just
Okay,
a
I'm
moment.
gonna raise my hand no, because I think this is already in the public realm.
Actually,
least-
DCAS told me to
or-
do this.
In executive committee, they asked you to take an executive committee session?
Yeah. And I'll explain why.
Mhm.
When we go into executive session, I will explain why, but let the record
Okay.
show that,
Okay.
okay, so
Okay,
we
Laura,
voted to go in, it passed,
I'm sorry, excuse me,
That's
Laura.
one opposed then?
yes.
Dan?
I just want to make sure everyone is in the waiting room that is supposed to be there.
Yes,
right now.
yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. So I have Camelia and the reporter in the waiting room?
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you. That was all.
Okay,
All set.
so we're all set, and thank you, Tanya.
Sure.
And we're in executive committee session. All right, the reason I'm doing this is because there is a delay in the construction and our move-in date to our new office. And because there is this delay, which I will explain the details, DCAS asked me to not have this discussion made public, like it had been made public in the past, because they are negotiating a new term sheet and a new scope of work, and negotiations are going on. And now I will explain to you what goes on. We will probably not move into our new office until the end of this year, beginning of 23. The reason is twofold. Number one, the building is in a state of total, being in construction. They have been waiting for parts for the elevator due to supply chain issues. So the building, they've been waiting 6 months. And they anticipate that they're going to get their construction needs met soon. So that's one issue. The other issue is that the landlord removed the vault, which was about 300 square feet. The landlord moved the vault because DCAS expressed a problem with the vault. And this arose a few months ago. And the landlord hired a new architect to redraw the plans for the whole downstairs. Because the vault was removed at great expense to the landlord, he was able to squeeze out 2 new offices in that downstairs, in the same floor as we are. That necessitated our space being redesigned, which is what is going on right now. Now, the last time I reported on this, I was able to show plans of what the space was going to look like. Those plans on the redesign are not ready yet. And as soon as they are, I will, be able to show you. And there's a certain amount of, what needs to be done is a new term sheet, a new scope of work. And it's important because that will form the basis for the lease. And they predict the lease will be signed in the fall, by the fall. And it's being renegotiated. Let me say that Kira and I spent several hours in the site. We met with the representative of the landlord on March 18th, and we're joined by DCAS and the consultants from DCAS. We painstakingly went over reviewing the space because it's a different space due to those 2 new offices. The architect, I just spoke to her today, the consultant, and she said she's expecting everything to be sent to us in not too long. In the old, we had the bathroom in the hall. And we were okay with that because it didn't take up ADA bathroom, inside. Now it's inside. We have shrunk certain things, like they had put in a kitchen. And we said, we don't have a kitchen now. We had reduced it last time, made that even more streamlined, figured out where we can have everything. So, that's it. I'm sure you have a lot of questions, but our office plan will change. And when we get it, we will show it to you. I'm waiting for the new design, and I'm going to present it as soon as possible. And we're disappointed about this, but even without the redesign and the renegotiation, we all have to be concerned about the supply chain, because you needed a hard hat. There wasn't any space in this building that was good because of the issues that they've had. So there is a delay. We're not happy about it, but we'll survive. And that's it. Happy to entertain any questions. But that's why we had to go in, because we always say, like I did the last time, I said, can we say this publicly? And they said, yes. Now I said, what can we say publicly? And they said, nothing, because we're renegotiating things with the landlord. Like even the space inside or outside, or, certain things. Okay, I see David and Rosemary. David.
Yes, 2 questions. One, when you say 2 offices, are they rooms within our office, or?
Oh, no. Just on that floor.
For
He's got
somebody else to
4.
be rented to?
Yeah.
Okay,
There are two
okay.
new incomes. Sorry, I didn't make that clear. 2 new
Okay.
incomes for the landlord, having nothing to
Okay.
do with us, but that's.
No, I understand. The other question is, what is the landlord doing to address the 140 laundry machines that are gonna be above our head?
I did not ask that question about the laundry.
it's,
I will ask that question, but no, I did not ask that
were
question.
you aware that there are gonna be 140 laundry machines?
I
above our
see
head?
that they rented to a laundromat. I did not
Okay.
know it was 140, but why don't I get back to you on that?
Okay, because I think that's gonna be problematic during the day for the staff and impossible for meetings at night unless
It's
it's.
next
wet.
door.
Huh?
It's not, it's next, it's on the
I-
side, on the floor above us. I can't imagine that they haven't figured this out. That's a good question.
There's a lot of vibration, a lot of noise, which will be a problem for the office during the day and really difficult for hearing each other in meetings at night.
Get back on laundromat.
Thank you.
Thank you. 1 second. Rosemary.
Okay, I will tell you, if I knew what was said in this meeting, I never would have voted to go into executive session. This is because DCAS asked you to go into executive session.
Well, we
There
asked them
is-
what could be said publicly.
There is no reason whatsoever that this is an executive session. All you are doing is saving them some embarrassment, okay? It is the reason for exec was we weren't allowed to give the location of the office.
Yeah.
Why? Because in the past, other real estate people will come in and try and steal the deal away from what we were negotiating. This is the same place, the exact same place. This is nothing more than saving DCAS embarrassment. We should come out of executive session. I will never vote for executive session for this issue again. This is wrong. We are violating the law on this. I'm telling you, Laura, we're violating the law. Next, the term sheet. Has it been ripped up? Is the old term sheet ripped up?
No, not
Are you-
entirely.
No, so what remains of the term sheet and what doesn't? What remains and what has changed specifically? What is gone and what remains?
I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay, number 3, you talked about removing the vault. That was said to us the last time you gave a report. The vault was taken out and the plans were changed because the vault was taken out. Okay, that's old news. Why, is there something new about I don't understand what the vault has to do with
There
anything.
was, I think, but where that enters is the new architect. He redesigned the whole space for the
Okay.
landlord.
But
The
the
one
vault was
architect,
taken out, vault was taken out last time we had a report from you. It was gone. So what? I
no,
don't
no,
understand.
it wasn't gone. We were working around it. They had a design with the vault. They had a design with the vault. And an architect was fired and the landlord hired a new architect, which took a very long time. And the whole floor has been redesigned. So that's what's different. But I will get back to you on the term sheet.
Okay, and
Mhm.
the vault, the change in the vault was we were no longer going to be renting the vault. Okay, whether they take it out or didn't take it out, it was no longer part of the rentable space. So I
Or
don't
the
understand why.
1,500 square feet. Well, this
Exactly,
is-
it wasn't
I
part of
get it.
it.
No, because
Okay.
OMB, OMB had an issue with the vault.
For whatever reason, the vault
whatever
was taken
reason.
out months ago. I don't understand why it's an issue again today.
Was.
That's,
Because it's
That's
been
who it is.
redesigned. It's, the whole floor has been redesigned. And my notes have said, and I took voluminous notes, that they are working on a new term sheet, but it's, since they've already done this, I think this is the 3rd term sheet. It's not going to take so long. I've thought to myself, you're thinking we're going to be in December of 2022? He said by the end of the year. I don't know, remains to be seen. I have stopped,
when was your meeting with Kira? When did you go and meet with them?
March 18th.
it was March 18th. And there were several consultants. There was a representative from the landlord. And I mean, don't shoot the messenger, Rosemary.
I'm not
Yep.
shooting the messenger at all.
Okay.
I'm furious at the way this project is going, as well you should be.
Well,
Okay.
We are, but I'm just trying to state what the issue is. There's nothing
Okay.
more. The board, we have done whatever we had to do. In the fall, we had our section 195 hearing. We've had our move referenced in the most recent citywide statement of needs. It is what it is. I hope
I'm-
that they're correct and we
I'm
will.
not
move
looking,
in at the
I'm
end of
not looking to
December.
I'm looking forward, okay? The term sheet, you don't know what remains and what isn't. I would be very interested in knowing what remains and what is gone from the term sheet.
Okay. Any other
And,
questions? Yeah.
oh, no, and never again, I will never again vote for this to be in executive session. Never again. This does not belong in an executive, this is public information. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary. Dan, and then Sylvia.
Yeah,
David.
just briefly on exec, I think the purpose of this particular provision is when you're going to affect the value. And if you put out the location of
Right.
where a government agency is going to put it, you affect the value of the real property.
Right.
Nothing we're hearing tonight does that, because the location's already out.
I hear you.
I guess
Dan.
I just, it's just one of these things, like if you have that information, it's just, I don't know.
That's what I was told.
Second, more important, what I don't understand and what I'm trying to grasp right now is with this meeting that you had with all of these folks there, the landlord, the city, everybody else, what terms have changed?
The
Other than the commencement date? We're still gonna get the
space.
same square footage, right?
The space has.
It's still gonna be
totally
for the
changed.
same length
Where
of
the
years?
conference room was, something else is. Where this is, the whole, because the shape of it is different.
So you're talking about the
So
design
the
of it,
office
but I'm-
design, yeah, the design
So you're
is
talking the
totally
design.
different.
Okay, so you're talking about the design, but I guess for my purpose in when you're looking at a term sheet, the terms of the lease are going to deal with the years. The terms of the lease are going to deal with, part of it's going to be the square footage. And they could certainly, they might have like a shape out of where it'll be, but that'll be the same. Is there anything
The square
changing in the
footage-
terms?
The square footage
Is the
is,
square footage remaining the same?
well, it's 1,500 square feet. And we were going to use the safe as storage. I mean, that was great.
Well, you're
Now it
getting
doesn't
into kind of
exist.
layout.
The whole layout is different. The whole
But
downstairs.
what I'm asking,
Yeah,
I guess where I'm going with this is what terms have changed?
I'll be more specific and I'll get back to you. I can't really, I
Can
can't
we-
answer
can
that
we-
question tonight.
can we
but
have a
I will get
report
back to
at-
you.
Understood. Can we have a report at the full board so the full board is aware of where this is going? With some of these terms that may or may not have changed? I
Well,
know you're talking about layout, and I understand the layout is one issue, right? Where you're posited on a particular floor. But the terms, from what I understand, at least what I'm hearing, I haven't heard of any terms that are changing of the lease, or of the deal, I should say.
let me get back to you on that, Dan.
I think the whole board needs to know, not just me, but everybody, the whole
I'll
board should know.
I'll get back to what I mean is I'll get back to you. I'll get
Thank you.
back. We spent hours going over things that we're changing from the original plan to try to fit this new space so that everybody got windows, not just the conference room or not just the working, but we worked for hours on that stuff. And we're going to be satisfied at the end of the day. And exactly what terms have changed and why they advised me to go into, to not have this public, I will certainly discuss with them.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll have those answers for next time.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. All good questions, all good comments. All good. We all want the same thing. David, last hand.
Yes, a couple things. We're getting down to what's referred to as the short strokes of a project. I think we need to now get into monthly reports on where we are. I mean, it's been 3 or 4 months since we talked about this, and 3 or 4 months before that. I think now we need to get down to probably monthly reports. And we should get be given a schedule by the architect of what's going to happen and when, so we can monitor what they're doing and how their progress is going. You know, one thing comes to mind is you've just mentioned that the vault was going to be our storage space. But earlier, I think you said the vault's being removed, and I think that it would become those other two offices, which suggests to me that we're losing storage space. So that too would be part of the
Correct.
terms, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't need an answer tonight. But I think we need to have a monthly status report, and we should be given a schedule by next month of the next 6 months of this project, so we can hold their feet to the fire,
No,
because we've lost a lot of time.
yes, we've lost a lot of time. And part of it was the changing of architects and months until they had the new one and the new scope, you know, the new design. We are losing. We have done our best. We to put storage here, put storage there, change this so that we could have storage here. We've really done our best on this redesign. So
Right, but
you're right.
we
And I
do need a
think,
schedule to
yeah,
monitor their progress on our space.
agreed. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Ed and Sylvia.
Yeah, just real quick, did they give you any indication, these two offices, who the tenants, who they were gonna be leased out to, what type of businesses were gonna be there?
I don't believe so. I'm not even sure they're rented yet,
Okay.
but they have 2 new spaces.
If they know, that might be something we might wanna know.
We asked,
Who's gonna be next to us?
we asked, but we didn't get an answer because it's not rented yet.
Okay,
And right now, it was like one big floor. There wasn't a wall. There wasn't anything. What they were concentrating on, understandably, since this safe was a huge thing, holding up the upstairs, you know, there's a lot of pillars. We're working around new pillars, you know, for support. There was a lot of things that were discussed. I was not told the name, and we did ask, and it's just not rented yet.
thank you.
There's nothing to even show them, to tell you the truth. There isn't, it was just like in a big cavern, you know what I mean? With columns going up, and you needed a hard hat because, I mean, there's nothing done. Needs to be sheetrock, tons of work. The whole building was like that. And they just kept saying 6 months supply chain, you know, which will remain an issue.
Thank you.
But thank you, Ed. Sylvia?
Dan asked some of my questions, but basically, I've not been involved in this at any time. However, it comes to my mind that in the negotiations and the new architects and all the safe going out and everything being moved around with more offices and everything, are we going to have 1,500 square feet that we can use as a meeting place, the offices and everything else? Are you in control of that?
We're in control so much as we say, we don't care about kitchen, we don't care about closets, we don't care about this, we care about a conference room. And so the architects were accommodating us. I mean, as much as possible. We're not gonna be able to hold full board, but we'll be able to hold committee meetings. We will be able to hold many more people than the current conference room, because it's gonna be reconfigured in such a way.
Right.
Yeah. No, that.
And what are you going to use as storage if you don't have closets and you
Well,
don't have
we
the safe?
will have some storage. We're gonna have
okay.
storage.
Because you're
did the
going
best
to
we
have a
could.
lot of things to store eventually.
Yes, we're also going through the office now, and there are a lot of things that are going to get tagged to go out, and there's a whole process to get rid of those things. We're also going to try to have, you know, less paper. You know, so we're trying to look at that, but you know, you never have enough storage, and I can't say that I'm happy to have reduced storage, but we're doing the best we can.
Right. And talking about, it has nothing to do with this executive session, but you bring up papers and such as a housekeeping issue. When you get something from like Congressman Espaillat, who has many different boards in his congressional district, and you send the whole document to us. Is there a way that you can siphon off just the Community Board 8? Because my computer and my phone, as everyone else's, I'm sure, is overloaded. I buy paper and ink all the time. I have to print everything out. And there's a lot of stuff that comes that is just garbage. I mean, it's not garbage, it's valid stuff, but it's stuff that I don't really need to look at.
Well,
And,
I think
and,
it's
and it would be
decided-
helpful if it was siphoned off so that only Community Board 8 issues come to the board members.
we could try. I mean, I have the same thing. I'm always buying reams of paper and printing out in ink. So I understand a lot of things I just view and I say, okay, this is not.
Well, I
something
can't read it on the computer, so I have to print
Mm-hmm.
everything out.
Right. Well, I understand your point, Sylvia.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. David Gilman?
Yeah, well, one other thing, yeah, Laura, I've seen your notebooks. I would have thought you've been mostly spending money on Post-it notes. You always have lots of notes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the budget mod, I know it's not here tonight because Kira's not here tonight. When we do it next month, I think it's important that
We'll do it Tuesday. We'll do it at the full board.
Oh, okay. And we are going to
God
address.
willing.
Yeah, but we'll address, some of the equipment that we've said, like Dan was talking about AV equipment. I've talked about locks and whatnot, all future stuff, but should be part of this process.
I know
Correct.
that every year, for the past few years, Kira has been ordering things for the new office, which is why
Right.
it's difficult. The place looks like,
No, I understand. I just want to make sure
She's been doing that.
the future equipment that, Dan was talking about, I've been talking about, whatnot, that's itemized for Tuesday. And Sylvia just brought to mind, it was terrific what you sent about Congressman Espaillat. I was glad to hear that. However, it's really, he only covers a small part of our district. Have we reached out to Congressman Bowman's to see if he has a similar type of allotment? Because he covers the vast majority of our district.
I think that everything is going to be applicable to Community Board 8 with this federal monies, not just his district. Because you're right. I mean, Congressman Espaillat has a small piece of our district. But,
Right, he's asking us for recommendations, and it'll be hard to say, yeah, we'd like X, Y, or Z for North Riverdale when it isn't within 3 miles of his district.
I believe that there'll be latitude there, and I'm going to check into that.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Sylvia and David, your hands were up and we're
Oh.
done. Is there anybody in additional?
Just one last question, just one simple question,
Right.
Laura. The term sheet is now changed. What does DCAS say about breach of contract from the landlord? That's all signed. It went through city planning. It's approved. The term sheet was signed. What do they say about breach of contract when it comes to the term sheet? You don't answer it now. I would like it to be part of what remains of the term sheet, but why is this not breach of contract from the landlord? That's all. The answer to come later. Mhm.
Well, for one thing, OMB was the one who instigated taking out the vault, and we didn't have a signed lease. We didn't have a signed lease, so
Yeah.
maybe that had something to do. I don't know, but I don't know, so I shouldn't even say.
Okay. Term sheet is it. Term sheet is where okay, not going to say anymore. I've said it months ago. I'm not going to say it again. The term sheet is it when it comes to the city. Okay.
Okay, so seeing no hands, I want to thank everybody for a very lively meeting and all your participation.
Can we come out of exec?
So we bring in the.
Oh, yeah, I gotta vote to
Okay.
move out of exec. Thank you. I'm so busy
moved.
taking deep breaths. Okay, so move, second. We go back out and see who's there.
Okay.
And if this was not necessary, what can I say? I'm going to clarify. So thank you all on that.
Okay. Okay, everyone is back now.
Everybody is.
And do tell DCAS that I don't know what the vote would be on the board, but they may wind up with a non-vote to go into executive. God only knows what will happen, but they don't control it.
Okay, all these things will be discussed. Okay, so if we voted to go out, we're back. I don't see any other hands. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Great.
Second.
Now, Ramdad, is Ramdad in on the attendance? Ron?
Yes, yes.
Perfect. Okay, good night, everybody. Have a very good night. And thank
a
you
good night.
for all
Good
your
night,
help.
Gracie.
Good night.
Good night, y'all.
Nice.
Good night.